Hey everybody, Shawn Day, Hirely Chill. How you doing out there? We've got a little bit different thing I'm going to do today. So I'm not going to bore you to death with a bunch of labor market stuff and all that, although there's a lot to talk about there. Um, and I almost did, so I'm not going to. So with that said, uh, there's some things out there that all of us experience and share in the world. And one of those things is probably everybody over the age of 20, 18, probably knows somebody that's very close to them, not just knows them, but that's battling cancer and going through some cancer stuff. I don't even know if I'm going to get well educated today on some of these things. I've got a brother that's got 3 different types of cancers. He's had for 15 years, so he's going through a battle, and that's been a learning experience. I'm going to bring in a very good friend of mine that I've known for an awful long time. Maybe I shouldn't say an awful long time. We've known each other for a spell, a minute. And our siblings have all graduated with my siblings, and our siblings have all graduated together and all that stuff. Becca Ann is going to join us in the house. What's happening, Becca?
Hey, how's it going, Shawn?
Going dandy, man. It's always going good, whether I like it or not. It's going to have to go good.
Well, right. It's either that or you could just stay in the negative, and that's no good.
No, that's a choice, and it's not a good choice. I agree with that.
Right.
So there's a whole bunch of stuff to cover, and we're going to dive right into it. So the title sort of that I put out there for social media was the C word. I hate the C word, right? And it gets a little bit of attention because those with demented minds, and which are most of the people I know, will grab their attention with the C word. So the C word is that cancer word that we all hate. I can't imagine another word to hear from a doctor or from anybody when it comes out of somebody's mouth more fearful, more yucky, more, Take me back to when you first learned that you had cancer, and
Sure.
what I'm assuming it was a medical professional that told you. What was that like?
So just a quick backstory to before I got that diagnosis. 2017, I had been diagnosed with Lyme's disease, and I had lost my job soon after. And so I was in the thick of being treated for Lyme's disease. So that was like September of 17. Then I finally get a job, like a great job in accounting, April of 2018. And for some reason, I was doing my monthly check and I'm feeling this lump. So I go to my new supervisor and I said, Melissa, I have found a lump. I'm going to have to get a mammogram. And she's like, what? Because she had breast cancer herself. I don't know, she's like 10 or 11, 12 years younger than us. But anyways, she's already been through all that. So she's like, go get your mammogram done. And I thought I only missed a year, but it had been 3 years because I just kept procrastinating. Oh, I'll make the appointment. So I went ahead, got the mammogram, and then the doctor, he delayed it. The beautiful thing about the hospital systems now is you can read your charts. And so I already knew what was sitting in there and what was being recommended. So I contacted I'm calling, I'm texting, hey, I need a follow-up. Finally heard from him, got the appointment for a biopsy. And when they went in, they started biopsying. I ended up with 9 markers in my left breast. And I called it my bedazzled breast because they would tell in the notes, it's like, it looks like a hat and it looks like this. So they have little markers that have like, kind of like Monopoly, the little things. Yeah. So till it was all said and done, I got all the biopsies done. She called me on May 23rd, 2018. I was in my car eating lunch and she called and she said, you have breast cancer. And I kind of figured I did, but to actually have it confirmed, like the waterworks, I'm sitting in my car weeping. And so I pulled myself together, went into my, boss. I said, Melissa, it's cancer. And so from there, everything just started, to roll. So, yeah.
Let me ask this. When you first hear that diagnosis, Becca, do you, I'm assuming your brain thinks the worst. And then I also am curious because I don't know that, and maybe I'm wrong with that, but and I'm sure it varies from person to person, but I bet there's a majority of the people that probably have the same thoughts. What about did the doctor tell you to what extent, how bad, what stage, or was it just you have breast cancer?
So initially, when you first find out, they have to do the staging with the pathology. So that was still in the works because with breast cancer, there's a bunch of different types. So
Yeah.
mine was hormone positive, both of them. Like I was almost 100% estrogen driven and almost 100% progesterone. And ironically, going back to that Lyme disease diagnosis, that the functional medicine doctor that drew all those labs that found the Lyme disease, she had told me my estrogen was high back in 2017, but didn't bother to say, hey, this could be a breast cancer issue. Have you gotten
Right.
checked yet? So that kind of was unnerving as I thought back to it. But so the doctor said you have breast cancer. We already know it's stage 3, but the other part of it was HER2 is another part of breast cancer for some women. And HER2 is a human something, I forget, but they had to stain my pathology to see, and it sits there, blah, blah, blah. So was that the question? Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't get the full diagnosis that day, but I got the diagnosis well enough to know, but it's very treatable. So we're going to start, we're going to come up with a plan and we're going to start you with chemo, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Okay. Um, is it hereditary in your family at all?
Well, both my grandmothers had double mastectomies. I don't know what
Okay.
age, but I just knew that they both had. And my mom had a scare when we were younger, but nothing. And originally, when I was 23, they had found a lump on the left side, but they attributed it to too much caffeine. But they were supposed to watch it over the years, and then I kind of forgot about it until And like I said, I just really should have kept on top of those mammograms. So
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing with cancer. You hear probably the most is preventative, right?
yeah,
The sooner you know, the better. But
yeah.
it's you're living life,
Well,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
And losing my dad in 2016 to a rare
yeah,
form of kidney cancer, that kind of was on my mind of like, oh
right,
no, now my mom has to go through this again. My dad's gone, but here I am. So
right,
you,
right, right. Um, so you find that out, and you go in, you get things taken care of, and you're healed, and everything's great, and then no worries, everything should be fine. Or take us through just like a couple minutes of then what, and then cancer is a roller coaster ride. So take me through maybe the you're going down the hill a little bit and things seem a little bit better. You're not going up the hill slow and wondering and anxious and scared and all that. You've got some
well,
treatment. Now what?
okay, so I will tell you that I was never going downhill. I was going uphill because so I get the diagnosis. That's like May. We start the chemo in June through my wrist and my, through doing the IV chemo. And so
Yeah,
they wanted to put a port in. So I started my journey in Hillcrest, so Cleveland Clinic system. And I had gotten a doctor that I didn't really care for because I couldn't understand them.
yep,
And, when it comes to yourself, you have to know what you're hearing. And, Melissa had said you have to advocate for yourself because she has been through this. And even watching my mom help my dad, navigate through. So the second time I met that doctor, when he left, I was weeping because I had all these questions I had written down. And then he just was so fast in just trying to answer and get out of there. So the nurse comes in. I said, would you please find me a new doctor? Because I'm not going to make it through. This is my body. This is my cancer and it's my treatment. So we need to do something else. So she found another doctor, got the chemo going, and then they put the port in mid-July, and I had another treatment through July, August, and by the end of August, there was a new nurse who had taken care of my port. The port was in, so it was like here, you can see the old scar. That was in, but it got infected. And then I ended up in the emergency room at Geauga, and it was extremely infected to the point that if they hadn't taken care of it, I wouldn't be here talking to you because I was septic. So got that done. Then when I woke up, the doctor that took care of my dad, Dr. Friedman there at Jaga, he said, Rebecca, what are you doing here? And he knew, of course, but I said, would you take over my cancer care? So he's like, yeah, he's like, but you're in a really bad way. You're in a bad way. You know, we have to stop the chemo for a bit to let your body recover from the infection. So I was in the hospital, I don't know, 10 days. So I pulled out the port. So now I'm back to like using my hand. And then they tried to do a PICC line in my arm. So I had that in, went home to my mom's to recover on Labor Day. And within 3 weeks, I get a blood clot in my subclavian up here. So they got to take out the PICC line. So now I'm back to a hand. You know, I had like maybe one more round of chemo to go, maybe 2. And Dr. Friedman's like, look, we're just doing one more. And then we're just going to let your body rest, heal from everything, the blood clot, whatever. So by December, the blood clot cleared. January 2019, they do the mastectomy. Until it was taken out, it looked like a pie, a pie server like this. Yeah. So it was deep and like that. And so she got it out, and then I had reconstruction right away. And then that night I'm just in my hospital room, resting in pain, whatever. And my tissue's already starting to die. So it's already starting to die. So probably with a week later, I'm in a Ahuja getting a skin graft put back on my tissue on my chest. That's dying. So all that to say, I have been like the 1% for all of my doctors because I've been out of the box treatments. And the plastic surgeon's like, I hate to say it, but I feel like I failed you. And I'm like, well, I don't even want to talk about that right now. We just need to get this tissue off of my body because it keeps getting infected. So by March, he had pulled it off. I had a couple more infections. So so that's kind of the initial part of what I went through. And it really hasn't been restful. You know that, of course. So, but yeah, so that's kind of the beginnings.
Excuse me. Is it, are there windows, had there been windows of this is over and or not?
Yeah. Come 2019 when I got, that was beginning of 2019, March. April, my mom passes because she had been my cancer, buddy. And so April 29th, she passes. And then, I had to have a partial hysterectomy because the estrogen is created like in your ovaries as a woman. So they remove the ovaries to try and keep the estrogen away, like a blocker type of deal. So my cancer wouldn't grow anymore. Yeah. And at that point, I had a couple more things with this HER2 side of the cancer. You do this treatment every single week. They get an infusion and you do that for a year. And by July, I was able to ring the bell because I completed treatment. It looked like I was going to be clear. They said I was clear. And I was like, okay, mom's not here, dad's not here, but, my son's here, my family, my friends are here. So we got that all clear for the most part, but I was dealing with residuals, of course. So, yeah. So it was clear, at that point.
And when was that? What year?
July 2019.
Okay. So right now it's July 2025. Where are you at now with things?
Okay. So then I also 2019, part of you already know is the lymphedema side, losing all the lymph nodes. That happened immediately. Usually they say people with lymphedema happens like a year later. Mine showed up within a couple months and it blew up. So I went through 2019, going every so often to get scans. They're still seeing metabolic activity in my armpit, in my chest bed. With the PET scans, I'm getting done every 6 months. Maybe it was 3 months then. I can't remember. But so I go through. I think I'm doing pretty good. Even with the side effects, I can't work. I had to fight for my disability in front of the judge, and he's like, Rebecca, why is your case so difficult? And I said, well, you're free to call all my doctors. I am the 1% of their practice. So all the phone numbers are there, but feel free. And he starts chuckling. So, he did me permanent disability, and my attorney was astounded that he said it's very rare that a judge, but obviously your case supports that. So that was 2019, go through 2020, have a surgery to remove some lymphedema stuff. But by 2021, I was feeling stuff in my armpit. And I said to my oncologist, I said, something's not right. So I'm having a lot of pain. I just don't know what's going on. And so he's like, well, let's have Dr. Madden, that's the surgeon. Have her go in, see what she can find. And sure enough, she put a brand new port in for me so I could get access, because I was blowing lines, my lines were collapsing, my veins were collapsing. It was just difficult.
I remember that.
Yeah. So got the new port in, and she calls me. That was February 2021. She calls me like I was still living with my son, and she's like, Rebecca, she's like, I want to let you know you have breast cancer again. I said, you're kidding. And she's like, I don't ever kid about something like that. She said, I'm so sorry. And I said, I really am astounded. See, now this time I was really astounded. The first time I wasn't. This time I was like, then I was weeping. I was like in sad shape.
It's a roller coaster. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So from February 2021, I went through more chemo, so much more chemo. And in fact, worse, that I didn't think I was going to make it through. That took me all the way through August. And then in October, she did another pull out of my armpit to see if she could pull anything else. By then, scar tissue is really, it's really amping up, and it's hard to get in there. And she's really careful not to cut my nerves or touch a nerve. She didn't want me to lose my arm. But because I thought, okay, this is great. I did all this chemo. It's going to be clear. Nope. Now I have cancer droplets in my scar tissue.
True.
So then I have to do 30 rounds of radiation. Did that from November to the end of
How
December.
many?
30.
Ugh.
Yes, 30
I didn't know it was that many. My gosh.
Yeah, I was terrible. I had to drive to Beechwood. Yeah, through the holidays, even so. I think my last chemo was December 31st of 21. Yeah, and then went 22 and kind of skirted through that with a bunch of side effects of just all the other stuff, and trying to get a grip on life and trying what's normal, what's normal for me and all that good stuff. But I'm constantly having pain in my armpit and my chest bed, and it just gets overwhelming that by last year my oncologist, Dr. Friedman, was fantastic, moved to Florida. He was smart. He's down in Florida doing cancer care, so I lost him. And then we were given, these other oncologists there. And so the oncologist that I had doesn't know my story. I mean, he has my file and trying to get to know me. And I'm just like, what's that word that you think that you have everything medically wrong with you?
Hypochondriac.
Yes, that's not me. I just know my body. So when I'm telling him there's something not right, and he keeps telling me your marker tests keep coming back negative, I said, Dr. Wooster, there's something wrong. He wasn't listening. So the one doctor that was still left from 2018, I called her. She's my radiation oncologist. I said, Dr. Lyons, something's not right. She's like, when was the last time somebody had hands on you? I said, it's been a while. Okay, come to Beechwood. I want to see you. So last summer, I was in her office. She has a Sharpie marker. She's making notes all over my chest and my armpit, where we're feeling bumps and lumps. And they squeezed me into the ultrasound there at Ahuja, because that's the breast center of UH is Ahuja. So then that tech, when you've got people that are so good at their job, you just love them. And so this gal, can't remember her name, but she spent an hour going from scan to scan, from report to report, to find everything. And she got him, met the doctor that was going to do the biopsy, had that done a couple weeks after that. And then it came back, droplets in the scar tissue again of cancer. Which I kind of had an idea, but honestly, Shawn, it was still devastating to hear you have cancer again.
Right.
And now I can't ever say anymore, I'm cancer free.
Right.
Because I've got so much scar tissue, the droplets hide. So unless they migrate to the brain, the lungs, and my bones, that's where breast cancer typically goes. It is devastating to know I'm walking around with it. Constantly, because the radiation didn't help. So, because we Right. We couldn't measure the radiation. That's what I said that's what I said to Dr. Lyons. We're not going to be able to measure if it works. We're just going to pray it works. Well, guess what? That was 2021. And here we are 2023, 2024 with a new diagnosis. So now,
yeah, a couple
yes,
things to unpack there. One is the importance of having a doctor that knows you, that you trust. Not that a doctor that you don't trust is evil or up to no good, but they have to know who you are. They have to be able to communicate. You have to feel comfortable. You've got to have a connection of some sort,
right.
that you feel cared for.
Yes.
And I see that. I've seen that in the past with relatives and friends and stuff like that have had cancer. Super important because it's like having a coach you can't stand. Right. With all the talent in the world, you might not want to perform for that coach. I mean, compared to others. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that, and this is even further back in the conversation, that you've got to know your body. You got to trust what your body's telling you.
Yes.
And you've got to not be afraid to tell the medical industry, because you're just some old chick from Newberry, like I'm some dude from Newberry High School, and we're smart people, but these guys, they've got all these things on their wall and awards, and they're driving Porsches and all these things. What can I possibly? I feel ridiculous telling this guy he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's a problem. That shouldn't be an issue.
It shouldn't, but it is. Very much so. And I think especially with the older generation, they don't want to go against the grain because, hey, they're doctors. Like you said, they have all the credentials on their wall. They should know everything, but they don't. They don't. And a lot of them.
Human too, yeah.
Yeah, right. And so for me, and some people, even, friends our own age, they don't want to travel to find good care. I'm just like, why not? I mean, right now, so I ended up switching from the jog doctor. So I'm back at Beechwood now with a new doctor and much better care. And if I had to go further, I would, because you have to take your health. Who cares if you have to drive a little further? Do I like it? No, it exhausts me all the time. But at least I know she's listening. And that's the most important thing.
Right. And that allows you to be more honest and open and know yourself even a little bit better. Something we didn't touch on is, did you either think about or have anybody offer you or talk to you about more, and I don't know if there's even anything out there, homeopathic type of things that are out there? I mean, there's so much that's out there now. I know my brother's done a ton of research in that area, even to a point what he should be eating to fight the cancer cells, what he shouldn't be eating to feed the cancer cells. There's a whole mess of it. We've got so much information now. I'm positive that him and you would not be here today had you have been going and getting the diagnosis that you have today 30 years ago. Right. Not 50 years ago, not 100 years ago, 20 years ago even, probably.
Right.
Maybe 30 years ago. Anything with homeopathic stuff?
I do my own research. Like, I've been looking into like ivermectin and something, the other one, I forget the name of it, but you have to be real careful about that because it can react badly with other things. And so I do take supplements, but I have to back them, make sure that for me, I do a lot of, if I'm going to do a supplement, I'm going to check if it's third-party tested, because a lot of stuff you might, get at Walmart, you can't. I mean, it's just the stuff that's in them. Plus it's cost for me. I mean, I'm on a small disability. Insurance doesn't pay for that stuff, which I feel like insurances should allow for some functional medicine, alternative, homeopathic stuff when you find good care,
Yeah, absolutely. And they do in a lot of other parts of the world, just not the, Western,
right.
Doesn't quite have that openness, and there's more statistical and not so much people stuff. They're more data stuff and profit stuff and all that kind of thing. So between gas money, between expenses for all the side effects that you've gone through, one of the reasons that we wanted you on the podcast and stuff is to get awareness out on things you've gone through. So what is another thing you want to get out of this podcast? Talk to us a little bit about, because I want to support a fundraiser that you started, and I want you to talk a little bit about that. And I know you're not, and most, I've met a lot of cancer patients, and most of them are not, comfortable with doing a fundraiser because of the, somebody help me with some money stuff. Nobody likes that, whether you've got cancer or not, if you're in, whatever you're going through. But you got a pretty good reason to have a fundraiser. Pretty damn good reason.
Yeah. And, I know I don't want to ask for help if I haven't done my due diligence of trying to already seek it. So I get all the resources I can through the county, through the state. It's not a whole lot, but I find grants, and I've applied for those. Like yesterday, there's a Living Beyond Breast Cancer, and it's only every 3 months, and you have to go on their website at 12 o'clock. The window opens on the link, and then by 12:10 it closes. So as long as you're in, you can do your application. The problem was the internet here. Don't know what was going on with the world, because I tried my phone, I tried the laptop, so I didn't get to apply. And so it's only every 3 months, and that was the last grant I was going to apply for. So that makes life difficult when I'm short like that. So having to ask for help is really hard. But the best thing about breast cancer is it's allowed me to say, hey, I really could use your help. I don't like asking for help, but here's what I'm looking for. This particular fundraiser right now is so this, I don't know if you can scan out. Can you push out?
Can you see? If I can. You're asking me to do something technology-wise. That's scary. You're way out. Hang on here. Wait a minute. That's the best I can do.
That's perfect. So this thing is a sleeve that goes on my arm, which you can see looks like I said, the Pillsbury Dough Girl. So real quick, I totally did not pay attention to biology class, and you and I were in the same class with Doug and Zembo. Anyway, we were all in the same bio. We didn't pay attention, but when I started paying attention to biology class was in college when my dad had cancer and I was learning about the cancers. So I didn't know a lot about the lymphatic system. No clue that it is a sewage system of our body. And when you lose lymph nodes, it stays stuck in your body unless you have things that help move it. So that is a compression garment. And that one I'm showing you is technically for night. So when you're sleeping, but because my hand has such an issue, I can't wear anything that cuts here because my hand's so this is continuous, but I'm not wearing it today because I have some nerve damage where it's sewn. So, and that's a custom one. So I also get taped, and I have to talk to my one friend to see if she can tape, because the insurance only lets me have so many visits with the therapist.
Right.
Some of the other alternatives is lymphedema massage. They know how to move the fluid. They're very specific how to move the lymphatic stuff through your body. That's one of the things that I'm looking for at the hyperbariatric chamber at Geauga in the Wound Center. To move fluid in your body, you need to have oxygen. And so that helps the oxygen move in your body. So there's other treatments that would benefit me so much, but I cannot afford any of them. I think when I called the Wound Center the other day, I think it's like $2,000 a pop. And you have to have 20 treatments for it to actually do what it's supposed to do. So 20 times 2,000 is what? 40,000? What is that? Is that right? So I don't have $40,000. I can barely make my rent payment. Right. So that's one reason. And then I had posted a little business. I was going to try and be like a DoorDasher for errands, because I thought, on the days I feel good, hey, or somebody schedules, hey, come pick up a package, take it to UPS, or can you pick up my mail? I could do that. Like, I could get in my car and do that. So if you schedule it, that's great. But that's not taking off. And then the guy on my one page, I'm not friends with him. I'm not an acquaintance. He's just on the page. He's like, why don't you do a fundraiser? And I thought, okay, I've been praying about things and thought, okay, God, is this something you'd want me to do? So in the middle of the night, I Googled, crowdsourcing, and I came across GoFundMe, which I yeah. So I found this Give, Send, Go, and they're a faith-based company because I'm a faith-based girl.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I thought, okay, Lord, because they give the money, the full amount of the donation to the recipient. So I thought that's awesome, because I think
for sure.
GoFundMe, you don't get the full donation. So all that said, that fundraiser, that's one reason I had to suck it up and say, okay, the Lord has put this across my path by this gentleman. I have no clue who he really is. So I went ahead and I put that together, and those are just the few things that I'm looking for, plus a couple daily bills and,
Sure. Oh yeah.
so
I mean, yeah. And so that we'll have this all posted on social media and stuff like
yeah,
that. And then we'll have a QR code somewhere. You can QR code to learn more about it. And when you redirect, when you hit the QR code or the link, you'll learn Becky's story. You can read about it more. And then, of course, you can obviously donate anonymously or through name or whatever you want to do. And so, there's people that can kind of work when they're or have worked before they got cancer and had a
right,
nice 401k, and they could pull from that and that sort of thing. There's people that have family members that spent, and this isn't any, don't have Steve call me up saying I didn't tell him he's not helping or anything. But there's other people. I've got relatives and aunt and uncle that are really well to do and having health issues, and they're not. Money isn't an issue with their health issues. It's their health issues is their issue.
right,
So when you have
right,
the health issues that are absolutely horrendous, and financial issues along with that, and because of that, and the hurdle of not being able to work, and then the hurdle of, okay, if I do finally find something I might be able to do, okay, I lose all the things that the government help, which by the
yes,
way I paid into all those years of working.
yes,
So it is
yes,
my money. When I go try to get my money, goes away.
yes,
Now,
yes.
so where is that balance? I hear that all the time. That
It's the
balance
truth.
is, it's so hard.
It's very hard. And here's the kicker on that. So yeah, and the thing is, my family's been incredible when I've actually had to go
Yeah,
to my siblings and say, hey, I am short this month, could you help? So they have been good in that way for me, so I'm grateful. And then there are the like earthly angels that have crept in that don't want any accolades. The Lord just sends them, and they
yeah,
provide. But it's this bigger number that I'm asking for, because it will help with those treatments, and because
right,
it's ongoing. So it's not like, I mean, heck, if I could find a sponsor that could support me every single month, that'd be fantastic.
right,
But
right, right.
the thing is, it just doesn't work like that sometimes. It's always kind
Yeah,
of fun to see what happens. But I will say, on the government side of things too, like my food stamp card is $23 a month. That's what I get for assistance. And this, of
isn't
course,
that
is
how much
based on,
eggs cost just about a couple months ago? I mean,
I know.
yeah,
And it's based on your income, of course. And I know that there's people that make less than me I make $1,500 a month. That covers rent, that covers insurance for my car, that covers renter's insurance. I mean, that covers the phone, which I need the phone,
yeah,
internet, and then you've got your gas, and then the other stuff,
right,
like
right.
your supplies and whatever. I mean, I don't live frivolously anymore. And when I was in the hospital the first time, my car got repoed. So
Right.
it's just because like all my savings got used up when I was, yeah. So it's just a constant thing. And I will say, it's unnerving for me when somebody says, well, have you checked this out? Or have you done this, before they even think of giving to me? And I'm like, well, you don't even have to give to me. If you think I'm a scam, that's all
Right,
right. Because
right,
I don't,
right,
obviously the Lord doesn't want you to help me. So I'm okay with that. But
right.
it just hurts, because I'm like, I'd really rather not be doing this.
Yeah, this isn't something I woke up 10 years ago going, I think this is going to be really fun to have cancer and real fun to have to ask for help. That's always
Right.
fun. Yeah, right,
I know.
sure.
I know. I'm 58. I didn't think I'd be in this spot, but here we are. And like, I call them health adventures for a reason. So,
Right, right. I mean, you still giggle, you still laugh, you still do those things. I know people that have gone in depression, having heard and having to deal with the things that they have to deal with. And again, life doesn't stop just because you get cancer. Parents
Right.
die, friends die,
Right.
and you've had all of that happen. Both parents dying, all of that stuff. And I knew both your parents, your mom and dad, obviously, and stuff. So I mean, life doesn't stop, and it's hard enough life not having the things that you're going through on a daily basis,
Right.
on an hourly basis, on a minutely basis. So anybody that's watching this, and you Newberry people out there that know us, get some help here, and just click a couple buttons, and that's all you're asked to do. That's all that I'm praying that you'll do. I'm not asking you to drive down the road and do something. I'm not asking you to go to a golf outing and find time to do that. Although I think we might talk to Jake about that. That might not be a bad idea. I'm going to put that on the shelf for a second.
Okay.
See, we got to do something about that. I'm asking you to click two buttons, and $25, $50, $100, whatever that is. Don't go out to dinner once in August, just once. Don't go out to dinner and maybe and spend that $100 helping a friend, somebody that's been rooted in Newberry and Geauga County and Northeast Ohio and the state of Ohio forever. The family's been here forever. Becca's been here forever. I think if maybe you didn't go out to dinner one night to some place, I think they'd be all right. They'll survive. I think that mindset and those two clicks would go an awful long way to help somebody that's part of our family in Northeast Ohio here. And do it as soon as you see this. Do it right away. Don't put it off. Don't think about it. Don't just do it. $25, $50, whatever you can do. $100, just do something. And I know we know a lot of people with cancer. This person, Becca, I've known Becca forever. We've done lunch and stuff like that, and she is in the midst of all this, still helping other people, still watching her grandson, still doing all kinds of things to help and serve God's kids.
Yeah.
This is one of God's kids you need to help, and do it now. What's it look like as far as how many people at 25 or whatever, say $25, maybe $50, whatever it is, $25 that needs to click two buttons to make this happen?
So I was thinking about this, and I thought if 840 people gave $25, we'd be at the goal.
Yeah.
Like pretty quickly. And even if they couldn't give, like I couldn't give 25, but I could give 5, but somebody who gives 75 could make up the difference.
Yep.
So that would be kind of cool. Plus, I actually started sending out to some businesses that I have connection with, asking if I can maybe be one of their charitables. And let me tell you, Shawn, again, it's taking everything I have to ask for help.
Yeah.
Every time I have to hit the send button on a text, or I'm like, okay, but God, I'm trying to obey. It's called radical obedience. So when he sends something across my screen, or somebody has said something, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. And the fact that you've jumped in to say, let's do this. We've been talking about doing a podcast for a while together.
Right.
Not necessarily with the fundraiser. This is just new, but just in general about the cancer side of things. So yeah. And I love helping people. That's my passion. I mean, my skill set is accounting and management, but my passion is people, healthy relationships, working through, struggles, a little life coaching and things like that. And so I try as much as I can. And I'm actually looking at a course to take to move some of my counseling and life coaching, kind of merging it. I just got my certification not long ago in the premarital side of things, but that would be even good with people that are together for so long. So while I'm in the midst of this, it takes the focus off of myself.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
and there's
so important. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some days like I'm struggling. I need iron infusions very badly. And because they affect fatigue, they affect my sight, they're affecting just a lot of things. And so, but I try to work everything else in between. And some days, many days I sleep a lot. So
yeah, right. I'm sure. Excellent. What else, for anybody watching this, Becca, what else would you say if they're going through some of the things you're going through? Is there any message you have for them, or anything, one or two things that maybe you wish you would have done differently, maybe that would have been more helpful, or known that you didn't know, or anything like that?
Good question. Yeah. So when it came to like my reconstruction, because I didn't know anything about the reconstruction, and my boss, my old boss, Melissa, she only had a lumpectomy, where they only just took part out. I met with the plastic surgeon when I was dealing with the port being, septic. And so I wasn't really in the right frame of mind. There was nobody to help navigate me through that. No liaison, nothing. He gives me a brochure. I have no idea what I'm asking other than I know I have enough stomach chub to create a new breast. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I was just a curvy girl. And so I just wanted them to look similar. So that's what I chose. And I would this is one thing I wish I could do for the hospital. I wish I could be a liaison for a woman going through this who's thinking about plastic surgery, to say, wait a second, I think you should get a second opinion, because after I got through the hardest parts of that and I was healed enough, I went to actually see a plastic surgeon in Beechwood that had like 5 stars. He doesn't do like insurance.
Right.
And I paid out of pocket to talk to him, and he goes, "Why are you here?" And I said, "Because this is what's happened." I showed him pictures, because I've taken pictures of everything. And he
Sure.
goes, "Oh, wow." He's like, "This is bad." I said, "I know, I've lived it." He's like, "So what do you want to know?" I said, "I want to know what happened. I want to know why he did that surgery and why he probably shouldn't have." He's like, "Let me tell you." So he pulls up, the table that you lay on and the paper. So he sets that up and the paper, so I'm looking at a chair basically, and he starts drawing. He's like, "You had all this stuff." He's like, "I'm not being mean, but let's face it, you are chubby." I said, "No offense. I already know that, thanks to lymphedema, whatever." And he goes, "So what happened was, so you had all this, he channeled all that material up to your breast with one tiny thread of a vein trying to feed this big blob. He should have
Oh,
taken it from
okay.
your back and brought it
Yeah.
forward." And
Yeah.
so because of that, it could never heal. He said it would have never healed. He said, "You were very wise as quickly as you did to ask him to remove everything." I said, "I just couldn't do it anymore," because it was constant. I mean, my sister Kathy had come when I had gotten discharged from the mastectomy and the reconstruction. She came to help because my mom couldn't do a lot of the wound care. She kind of tried to help, and then I had to do it myself, but it was a lot of work and just getting frustrated and scared because, being septic is no picnic,
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
so all that to say, I wish I could be a liaison. And if you can't get a liaison, just ask for a second opinion. Go find somebody
Yeah.
else.
I like that. That's
Mm-hmm.
great advice. That's great advice. And then the other thing too, I remember when we were talking about this is, I've got a brother that's got cancer, and I don't know how he would have gotten through it without his wife, who was a nurse and retired nurse, and
Right.
probably could have been a doctor. I mean, she was certainly smart enough. Had she pursued it, she would have been a phenomenal doctor. So she knew the questions to ask. She knew what meant when a doctor said it, and all, the that type of thing. So she knew. She just knew what to do, what to ask, and that's the best liaison you can have. But
Right.
most people don't have that.
Right.
How did you maneuver and juke and weave yourself through not having somebody like that? I'm talking, especially when you don't understand the lingo.
Right, right. So, right, not having my person or a partner.
Yeah,
I've pretty much done this myself. But the beautiful thing, like I said, about the hospital systems, that you get to see your reports and your scans beforehand. Typically, some people don't want to look. Me, I am taking notes. I am researching. What does it say? What does this word mean? Then I'm saying, okay, this lines up with this symptom. This lines up with this symptom. I've seen this treatment. Could we try this? So that when I'm meeting with the doctor, I'm going through, and Dr. Friedman was really good at knowing. He would say, "Okay, Rebecca, what's on your phone? What notes do you have for me?" And we go through each of my questions. And it's because of that he really listened and knew that I knew my body. But
yeah,
having a new doctor know my story is very difficult for them because they're so focused on their textbook stuff. Like I am fighting right now, even though I love my new oncologist, she's on maternity leave. So her nurse practitioner, she's kind of taking the case, like my case over the moment. Right now, my body's pulling potassium like crazy. So I'm constantly in the cancer center once a week at least getting potassium
yeah,
infused. This past week, the nurse is like, "Your saturation for your iron is low, you need infusions. And I totally agree. That's probably why I'm feeling like I'm going to die, literally. And
Yeah.
so when I Googled that, I'm like, why, I have a normal ferritin level. So it says it looks like I have iron, but my body's not absorbing it. So what's happening? Google this. I'm getting to this, I'm going all these rabbit holes. So now I'm ready. So now I'm ready to fight because this is my care. I need this before September. Like, otherwise, I don't know. I'm probably just going to end up in bed. I mean, I don't want to do that. It's summer,
Right.
So I just keep. So for me, it was just a matter of like, I know I'm tired. I don't want to do this, but you know what? God has put me in it. God has put me in it. And so it's kind of funny. Last year in summer, when I was waiting for the results of the pathology, I was in the bathroom and one of my sisters had given me an amazing grace sign cross because I was collecting some crosses. So she had given me, it said amazing grace. So I have it on the bathroom wall and I'm like, okay, God, this is in the morning. Okay, God, I'm wondering if you would think it'd be okay if I could maybe find a little part-time job that could supplement, keep within the parameters of keeping all my benefits. And if that, if I feel, because I feel like I'm feeling a bit okay, well, then by 2 o'clock, I'm getting the call, you have cancer. I'm like, okay, God, you answered that. So
Right. I guess that's a no. That's a
that's
hard
no.
no.
He literally has me in this because I get to share my story. I get to share and help, but I also get to share my faith, And
Right.
speaking of, we didn't get to finish, and I'm really sorry. I'm going to bring this back up again. But the levels for the benefits that I have, if I tried to work a 15-hour week, $15, 40 hours, I would lose everything and then I have to start all over because I physically couldn't handle it. I tried for 1 week. I have to tell them I have a job and then I have to go off and then I have to fight all over. It's such a scam in a way to keep people like me. I really need some extra help, but I can only do so much to a certain level. So it keeps me in this, this constant thing. So
That's a huge frustration in the way the system works. Right.
Yes.
And I always go back and I always say, like, I've had friends that have lost a job and they're like having trouble. And then they like at the age we're getting, their back is not good. I don't know what to do anymore. I was landscaping. I don't know what to do anymore. And I'm like, go get unemployment. I don't want to. You've paid into unemployment. That is your money as much as you would have put it in a savings account, your money.
Right.
These are things people, don't realize, and I think especially men, and we're all prideful, but men, especially when it comes to finances and work and, I think, it's just like you paid into that. Where do you think these things come from? These are dollars that you paid into. When you get some money back from the government, they don't, it comes from you when you work. It comes from your family. It comes from your friends. That is our money. You are allowed to go get your money when you need it. And so I think that's something. But I want to, before we get off, I do want to touch on the spiritual part of it and sort of the God take on this. One is I'm not here to necessarily tell people that are atheist or agnostic. You got to go find God tomorrow if you've got cancer, or you're going to be, it's going to even be worse. The people that are faithful, that do go to church on Sunday, are still not coping with it well. What is it? You tell your story about your faith, and it's obviously played a big role in the way that your attitude is shaped and formed, and how you're trudging through a horrible part of your life, maybe.
Yeah. So I was raised, of course, those that lived in Newberry went to school with us, our family, well known for our faith. My parents, loved each other. They loved the Lord, and then they loved us and everybody else around. So knowing what it meant to ask Christ to be like savior of my life, I did that when I was young. So all through high school, that worked well for me. And then I got married, and that didn't work so well for me. And then I ended up, getting divorced. And I moved back here in 2010 with a heart that was numb, that I really didn't want anything to do with my faith. So I was in a desert, what I call a desert land, because I was fighting for custody for my son. And I had an ex that was very bitter. He was abusive and he was a bitter. And so when I moved back in 2010, still fighting for custody, and I was numb. So I thought, well, I don't know what to do about this. I'm just going along, la, 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 la. My parents are praying for me. Family's praying for me, whatever. Then my dad gets cancer, and then he passes, and I'm really upset at God. I'm like, well, I asked you to heal him, but you didn't heal him, and that just didn't help. So I would say by 2019, after my mom passed, I'm just like, I just don't even know what to do. I didn't want to be a hypocrite, so I didn't step foot in church. I just didn't want to do that, And my sister-in-law, Bitsy, I was coming out of recovery, and she hands me a book called Delivered. It's by Beth Moore. She's a woman, author for Christian women, and men could read it too. It's excellent. But it's this little tiny book called Delivered, and it talked about the pits we put ourselves in, and the pits we're thrown in. So some of the pits are life decisions that we make and the consequences, and then those that we don't have any control of, like my cancer. So line by line, I wrestled with God, as I was going through all the chemo, and because that first round of chemo, I was not walking with the Lord. My mom and dad were praying. My family was praying, but I wasn't even asking God to heal me, because I thought, well, that would be hypocritical, because I don't even, I don't want to have anything to do with you. You're not helping my son, in my brain. That's what I'm thinking. So,
Yeah.
but this book, it took me a whole year. And the Lord, there is a scripture that talks how he left the 99 for that one sheep. And that was me. So within 2019 into 2020, I just had a light bulb moment to say, oh my word, it wasn't God. It was me who moved. I moved away from him and, being close to him. And I am that one sheep. He left 99 for me. And so he would do that for anybody that's listening. If you're in a bad way, it doesn't matter. He will leave. When you call on him, he will be there. So for me, walking through this, so then my whole mindset of the Lord has me in this to shine for him. So that's why I think some people get really upset. Like one of our classmates, I just don't understand why he's letting you suffer. And I'm just like, oh, but it's not suffering for me. I find that I can share to encourage you, but that's so hard for them. They can't equate that. But then I heard a story today, and I thought this is really good. Noah and the ark, Noah got his family, and everybody made fun of him. He did what the Lord asked. He obeyed, radical obedience. He obeyed, and the Lord shut the door. There's scripture that tells us the Lord shut the door to that ark. Noah didn't shut it. The Lord shut it. So here's Noah. He has no idea what's going to go. I have no idea. I have no idea where the cancer is going to go. If it's just going to stay in scar tissue for the rest of my life, I don't know. But Noah's going down in the big waves. He's going real down, and then he's going real high. And, the whole earth, he has no clue if it's going to even be there. 40 days and 40 nights that rain came. He's just trusting the Lord. He has no idea. So that's where I'm at with my faith. I have to trust his plan is better than mine. And honestly, I've been so blessed, really, with the people that have allowed me to share my heart and my need for help. Like you will say, I'm going to just put you on the spot. You will say, and Denise too, if you need something, I want you to call me. And you mean it, because there are people that have said that to me that don't mean it. They just say it because it's the polite thing to do. So when the Lord sends somebody, I will be like, okay, I could use some help right here, so I'm blessed in that way. And so I feel like, well, instead of asking why, well, why not? Why not?
Right,
Why not
right,
me?
right, right. There's a lot there. There's so people watching this, some are going to be faithful people in Christ. Some are going to be other religions and faiths. Some are going to be agnostic. Some are going to be spiritual or all kinds of different people, right? So if you have had life experience that has you moving, not understanding being the Christian faith or another faith, or and that's not your thing, and that's not what you believe. And the word faith, Becca used, and faith and trust in God. If that's not, if God is not what your life involves, we could have a separate conversation about that.
Yes.
And I might try to persuade you, but I'm not going to try to do that right now.
Right.
Use the word acceptance instead of faith. Okay. I happen to believe God has life unfold in front of us, and he's got a plan behind that, or the universe, or whatever your belief system is. Normally people have some belief, whether it's, they call it the universe, we're all in this universe, we're all in this thing together, God, whatever it is. Accept what's rolling out in front of you. Have faith that it's going to be okay. I call it God.
Yes.
I know it. To me, that's faith. Accept it, right? Accept it. So why does God do that to you? How about just accept what life is rolling out to you? You got a choice. You don't have to accept it, and then you can be really pissed off because it didn't go your way.
Right,
okay?
right.
Or you can accept it and let life unfold in front of you, accepting the good and the bad. Because I got news for you. Life wasn't designed to make you, whoever that is watching this right now, Fred, Joe, Jane, and Sue, it's not to make you happy. I got news for you. So if you think life is here to make you happy, Sue or Joe or Fred, you're going to be miserable a lot more than you're going to be peaceful. Okay.
For sure.
Whether you believe in God or not. So that's just the reality of the way life works. So that's one thing. So when somebody says, why did they do that to you? You know,
right.
So why not you? I mean, I'm sorry to say it that way, but
that's what I say. Why not me?
Yeah, we're not. And so the other thing to that is, you can't grow spiritually without shitty things happening to you. It's impossible to build character and understand how to get through difficult things without difficult things happening to you. So if it's all ice cream cones and lollipops and rainbows and unicorns, you're in for a real surprise in life, because that's not how life, the reality is not like that. You will be yielding from reality, and that's not a very healthy, mindful, mental health thing to be going through, I don't think. So not to say, Becca, my God, bless you for going through hell. Thank God you're going through hell. Boy, you'll build a lot of good character. I'm not saying that.
No, but, I know.
The way that you are dealing with it is really something to admire and to watch and to see how you, and I can say the same thing about my brother. He serves God's kids like big time, and he's living life like it's, and he wasn't always like that when he first was going through it. But he sure is a different man than he was when he was first trying to figure it out and deal with it. And he's serving God's kids big time, and his perception has changed dramatically.
Yes.
Things in the world didn't change. Cancer's still there.
Yes.
The shitty part of cancer is still there. His perception changed. That's what changed.
That's right. It's your mindset. It's your heart. It's what's in your heart. Out of the heart, comes forth. Whatever's in there, whatever's in your soul, it all adds up to how you're dealing with things. So, and like you just said, we don't grow unless we go through these moments. But then you liken it to like a guy in the weight room. So like when you were in football or wrestling, you had to practice, you had to lift, you had to grow those muscles, because if you didn't, you're not going to be any good. So if I don't do well for my battle right now, that the Lord has me in this right now, and if I'm going around with a bitter attitude and do I have hot mess days? Absolutely. I am far from perfect, and I get upset, I get mad, I do, but ultimately I am not built to be negative. I can't, because the Lord's done so much for me. I can look back and say, hey, you walked me through this, and here's who you use to meet all my needs. How could I ever say, well, he doesn't care? So I just can't. So
right. What? So we'll wrap this up here. Yeah. What are one or two things that maybe you want to say that you want to either underscore or you haven't said, or what's in your heart that you need to say right now?
So when you're talking to somebody, I think one of the phrases that I hate most is like, "You're so strong." I hate it. I don't know why it just rubs on me, and I let it go a lot. But it is one thing, like, I don't know, maybe somebody else. I'd be curious to talk to Dennis to see, does he like that? Does he like when people tell him he's strong? I don't want to hear
Right.
that. So for me, and it's just something, but honestly, if you get a diagnosis and you are confused and you don't actually have anybody to walk through that with, you are more than equipped to contact the hospital does have a social worker to find that out, and a lot of people don't even know that. So you would want to ask for a social worker. I would say call me, but the bottom line is I don't know where I'm going to be, and it's hard for me sometimes to take calls and to be on the phone. It's very difficult
Right.
sometimes, so
Right.
I'm not going to put myself out there right like that, because those
Right.
are big diagnoses that they need to walk through with a professional, and social workers usually are at hospitals. So I would recommend that too.
Okay. Okay. That's good to know. And so we'll wrap it up. Thanks for hopping on, but I do want everybody out there that's watching this to please click a couple buttons. That's literally all you have to do. Click a couple buttons, maybe not go out to dinner once this month or something like that. And let's take care of somebody that's one of God's greatest kids out there that's going through some stuff, that's tried everything, that isn't just sitting around and watching TV and then going to the doctor. I mean, she's applied for grants. She's trying to do things. She's balancing some work with all these different things, and it's something. It's something you got to do, and you got to do it right now. And if you have any other questions or anything like that, let me know. We're going to post a link and a QR code. The link will give you more information, more story. You can do this anonymously. Share. There's a share button that you can share this with all your friends on social media. You can just literally click a button. It goes right to your Facebook, Instagram, and a bunch of other places. Copy our QR code. Copy anything on here. Copy the link. Share that with everybody. So I'm begging you to do 2 clicks, donate, 1 click, share, and game over. And then you will be somebody that has done what you're supposed to do when you're trying to take care of God's kids, and it's what you're supposed to be doing
Right.
in life. It's serving other people, helping other
Yes.
people. All the problems you have in the world, I understand it's difficult. Life is tough. I understand that.
Me
But
too.
I know this, yeah. And like we talked about, the more I think about Shawn Day, the more trouble I get into. Therefore, I need to think about other people and how to serve other people, because I'll be in a boatload of trouble the more I think about me. So I'm sure it's the same. If you haven't thought about that, try the clicking of the 2 buttons right now, and I guarantee you, for at least a couple minutes, you won't be thinking about yourself and your problems, okay?
Yeah, that's awesome, Shawn. Thanks so much. I just appreciate you so much, brother.
I appreciate you too, Beck. I do. All right, everybody, click, 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 click. I'll be on some other time next Tuesday or so. No, I'll be. I don't want to say where I'm going to be and stuff, because I don't want everybody knowing where I'm going to be and stuff.
Exactly. There you go.
Right? All right, everybody, take good care. We'll be out there sometime doing another podcast. Sometime, I don't know with who or what, but again, 2 double clicks, share, and let's go from there. Take good care, Becca. Thanks again for hopping on.
Thank you.